This video is going to be a little different. We got invited down to compete in a competition at Texas A&M to pitch your company to investors. So we'll see how our pitch goes. Maybe we win a prize. I don't know. Big shout out to Curtis from inviting us down here from Construction Solution. Why don't you tell us a little bit what A&M and your society is doing here?
Sure, so thanks to you and your team for coming. This is the first time we're putting on an event like this, but I'm with the Society for Construction Solutions, and we exist to support construction entrepreneurs as well as construction professionals employing new technologies and operations. And we've always been more of a chapter model. This is the first time that we're working with the university to put on a speech competition. We have over $20,000 in prize cash thanks to A&M, and that'll be awarded to the top 3 competitors.
Awesome. Well, a big thanks for setting this all up, getting everybody together in the industry, getting this inter-industry. There's not even just construction. Curtis is adamant that he's like, we need to not just construction, start sharing with knowledge from other industries, and that's cool to see. So thanks for inviting us down here, and a big thanks to Texas A&M for putting this whole thing on and being nice enough to invite a couple Canadian boys to come compete.
Yeah, no, thanks for coming.
All right, well, thanks Curtis for bringing us down here and give a chance. We're going to do a bit more of like an investment presentation on why to invest in Edison Motors, who we are, what we do. And what we do is we build heavy vocational electric trucks. We've been truck drivers ourselves for the last 10 years, 15 years, hauling logs up in Canada. And there was a fundamental flaw in all the electric trucks I saw. I saw all the advantages, especially with logging. You're going uphill empty, you're coming downhill loaded to get that regen. But batteries just weren't enough for a heavy vocational truck to get you through the full 14, 15-hour day that a vocational truck does. So we said, well, we'll put a generator in it and we'll make a hybrid. Nobody had made a full independent plug-in hybrid electric semi-truck, and we built the first one, which is right here. So, biggest advantage, the electric just has a fuck ton of power. There's no other way to say it. With a tri-drive configuration, we're pushing out 1,400 horsepower. With this setup here, I'm getting 900 horsepower. So we're 400 horsepower over a diesel, and it is just torque for days. Because up in Canada, we're pulling 150, 160,000 pound loads regularly. We're almost twice the weight of the trucks in the US. And one of those things where you're running those heavy vocational ones, 80,000 pounds just isn't gonna cut it. We needed to build something bigger. With that hybrid, like I say, with that vocational, is that generator is only there to charge the batteries. What we were able to do with that is that we were able to downsize the motor. So normally you run a 600 horsepower engine because you need that 600 horsepower when you're starting out. With the electric torque, that meets the peak load demand. The generator is just there to provide that base load power, which means that we went from a 15-liter engine down to a 9-liter engine. So rather than running a 15-liter engine 100% of the time, we run that 9-liter engine about 50% of the time to recharge, and then when the batteries are full, it runs off of electric, which is also really, really cool. So we started out logging, and now we've had customers reaching out from other vocational areas, such as concrete mixers, snow plows. Concrete was one of those interesting applications. They wanted to be able to pour 24/7, but a lot of noise bylaws. They're running into residential areas where they're saying, hey, no diesel engines after 8 o'clock at night. You got to shut them diesel engines off. Well, with this setup, they shut the generator off, they can coast in on electric, they can unload on electric, they leave the residential and they fire that generator on their way back to the batching plant to grab another load. Same thing as crane trucks, anything that's operating on site can run 100% quiet on site, not using any fuel, which means you guys can talk more. So even though we started out with just logging, we've had a lot of people from your guys' other construction industries saying, hey, can you build us one? All right,
yeah,
next
pretty
slide.
Surprising stuff, yeah, for sure. Yeah, blew us away. So yeah, basically like what Chase is saying, it's a train on wheels. Like you can literally drive a train on the highway now, right? And we want to emphasize it is an electric truck, fully electric. It doesn't have a drive line in it, like no mechanical parts. Essentially what you see at the back of that engine there is a generator. And what's cool is that is a multi-purpose unit. We could also use it as a PTO. So already we're building a back truck for a customer. It's a very, very powerful motor. It could put out 250 kilowatts, roughly about 500 horsepower. Obviously, a 9-liter engine isn't really designed to do that continuously. But the idea here is with that 9-liter, you're getting 250 kilowatts continuous in the battery, looking at about a 50% cycle. What's cool about our technology, started with lithium iron phosphate. You might have heard about it, like Teslas use it. We went through the whole gamut, right? We went NMC on our first design with the Tesla battery pack. Funny enough, we're stealing Tesla's idea. but actually now we're using LMO chemistry. You might not have heard about it before, but they're used everywhere in Asia, especially on commercial vehicles. And what's cool about it, it's the same pack size, but we jam a lot of capacitance in it. We can discharge about 9C, which is crazy. So that means that we can discharge like that, 1,400 horsepower. And I wanted to also say, Chase and I have been working on an independent front suspension system that has motors at the wheels too. So you can do like tandem steers, both with power and extra 400 horsepower, like mind-blowing stuff. So just wanted to also emphasize the ePTO is a big one that we designed for a few customers. We also do hydraulics, obviously. So we're pretty comfortable with there, and it's super efficient. Also got a nice chiller system there. Just want to kind of show you an X-ray vision of what our technology looks like on our truck. And yeah.
So here's some of the next trucks we're building here. Obviously, we've got logging trucks, got a winch tractor for moving oil and gas rigs, doing rig move, doing a snow plow up for MCON. These are just some of the different vocational trucks that we've been doing. As we said, we just saw a shortage in the industry. When you look at every electric semi-truck out there, they're not being built to be snow plows or rig movers. There's no Kenworth C500, Western Star 6900 XD equivalent in the electric vehicle space, so that's the niche that we're filling here. All right, so one of the advantages of Edison is that we are the only real true hybrid truck on the market where the generator is completely separate. We're a plug-in hybrid. That just doesn't exist. So you can plug it in at the end of the night, unplug it. If you find a charging station, you can charge it, but if you need the additional range, you fire up, run the generator. One of the cool things about Edison too is that we've got a lot of followers out there. We're about 2 million, 2.5 million followers across our social media platforms. So the way we built it, we are one of the most transparent companies, especially in the EV space in the world. We show everything. You can watch our entire trucks get built from the frame rails up. That, of course, led to a lot of support within the industry, people seeing how it works. We're a big promoter that if this technology is going to be adopted, people need to know how it works. We can't keep the lid on this technology. You got to show how it works if you want people to be able to service it and maintain it, which also led to our engineering approach. We're based out of Merritt, BC, small town in Canada. We didn't design any of these parts ourselves. We picked up off-the-shelf parts that were available. We went to the local CBS parts store. We have a team of engineers and mechanics that always work together. I've got a basic philosophy that if an engineer designs something, he's got to build it and he's got to install it on the truck himself. If he can't find it off the shelf, that's what we're going to do. They got to all pull wrenches. Every single one of our engineers pulls wrenches, and they all work with mechanics in the field that have been working on logging trucks for the last 30, 40 years. So they're just talking with the mechanics, and the mechanics are saying, this is what we want. And they say, okay, I'll build that for you. And then we tell them they got to install it, so if a bolt's in a stupid spot, they'll know to change it. That's our basic philosophy. Keep it simple. Keep it off the shelf. Let your customers find the parts they need, because downtime is so critical on these things. Yeah. You guys are in construction, you know. What happens when your crane truck goes down on site? Now you got a work crew of 10, 15, 20 guys waiting for a crane truck as you look for some part that's being shipped out of Texas. I guess we're in Texas now. Yeah, we have a lot of parts shipped out. That's our example. Wait for some part shipped out of Canada? Like, that's not going to work.
What? Yeah, so just to take off what Chase said, right, this is built by loggers in Merritt, BC, right? We learned a lot over the last couple years, but just want to emphasize that like this was built literally out of a tent. First actually truck you see here, Kenworth 62, right? Built originally in Canada. We converted that in 2022 with a very small budget of 400,000 Canadian. And that was actually expressly raised through our fans using a crowdfunding exemption platform. And it's crazy how once we built this, we released another crowdfunding campaign, raised 1.5 million, blew our minds, right? Because this is just, you know, we're a bunch of small town guys. And in 2023, we released this truck, which you see here, Topsy. So this white truck that you see was completely built from the frame rail up in Merritt, BC. We literally built and designed the cab ourselves with that small budget. It's just an incredible vehicle that we built here. And yeah, we essentially built it all in 2023. It pulled an incredible weight. We can actually show you the video if that link does work. And I could talk over it, but just want to emphasize that, yeah, right now we're raising money to be able to build our own shop.
That's a pretty long video.
No, just, it's.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Okay, just, yeah. Yeah, you can close it whenever you want. But the idea here is, you know, we ended up building this thing in Merritt with a lot of support from millions of fans. And here we are pulling a load for the very first time. This is out of near Toronto last year. This is its very first haul. We hadn't hauled anything else, and this is 100,000 pounds, pulling a tank no less, okay? Like, you can see, we're pretty freaking excited.
Yeah, and then from there we went through and we actually were able to get this truck past all of the required safety inspections. Yeah. It's now licensed, it's on the road, it's got a VIN tag, license plate, which honestly, it's amazing we were able to pull that off, design a truck in a tent, get it done, get it made, get it built, inspected, insured, registered, and on the road.
Yeah.
We showed it off to some potential customers. They said, holy shit, we like that. And we said, how do we buy one? Well, we said, we're a small company. You got to pay 100% cash up front. They said, okay, we'll do that. Just build us a truck. And now we are starting to build on the next truck. So what we're kind of hoping to do here is raise a little bit of money so we can build a shop, get out of my parents' backyard, and actually start going to production of these next 10, 15 trucks that we're going to be building.
Awesome, yeah. Thanks, Curtis. Right on. So let's move on up. I did kind of mention the Tesla Semi there as a line, a little bit of an Easter egg, right? So we can pull more than a Tesla Semi. Okay, we're a bunch of loggers in BC. Pretty mind-blowing. But now you have the full gamut of our competitors here, okay? So Volvo's the #1 competitor right now. I've literally competed already against Volvo on a few mining contracts. We're looking pretty promising there. But just kind of want to show you the difference in weight that we can pull because of our large spec axles. Because we started on the vocational side first, you know, the highway guys can't compete, especially in this space, right? We're not building highway tractors here. We're building pretty expensive but very tough vehicles that can do the job. And I just want to kind of showcase Leon Electric beside us is another Canadian company. And they're struggling, but the idea is, you know, Canadians, we focus on the heavy duty stuff and we want to be down here to help you guys out in your particular applications, but more importantly, to be the North American #1 in vocational vehicles because we got a great electric platform. It's very versatile. So just want to showcase, you know, the next plan is we're going to be trying to build a factory, hopefully in Golden, BC. We kind of got a whole budget for about 7 million Canadian with a bit of a contingency of an extra 3 million to get us going for next year. We do have great customers already in the pipeline. We want to build about 9 trucks in that new factory next year. But it's really great to see already these MOs and these contracts signed. But more importantly, want to showcase that we have about 30,000 people that have signed a free kind of like interested or like we want to invest list. So, you know, just for a bunch of humble guys in BC, it's crazy that we have this kind of following. We just want to be able to meet this incredible demand. And furthermore, we have 3,000 prepaid orders for a truck conversion kit. And when I mean truck, I mean a pickup truck. So we want to use the same parts. I just kind of want to show you a little X-ray vision there. That's a pickup truck, but it uses the same parts as our semis, but instead of 6 batteries, we just use 2. And it has the exact same parts, right? Same inverters, same computers, same screen, but the axles are obviously a bit smaller. But we figured out the axles on the semi-trucks, and we got a great axle solution for pickups, and that's like a 56 million, you know, truck market per year. So big opportunity there if we get the investment to help us get there. So.
All right, that pretty well wraps her up. We can probably get into the questions, which I'm sure you got a few.
Cool, thank you. Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Great presentation. I love the power. So have you guys like compared this? And I'm going to miss this if you said. Have you compared it to like an aggregate trailer that's hauling as far as like weight? Can we fit more rock in it from a tonnage standpoint and stay legal on the road? Like, how's it compared to?
You could permit it.
Yeah, so you get an extra 1,500 kgs in Canada. I'm not sure, I think it's 2,000 in the States.
But it's pounds here, right?
2,000
So,
pounds,
yeah,
probably 2,000
yeah, so,
pounds.
yeah.
You get an extra 2,000 pounds. So when we actually did the conversion, this truck, despite being built like a Pacific off-highway truck, ended up scaling in the same as a Western Star 4900. Because we took that 15-liter cat, downsized it to a 9-liter, the weight reduction was actually a weight reduction compared to the batteries. The batteries that we added balanced out the weight of the generator, plus you get the exemption for more payload capacity. Just because it's a hybrid, we're able to downsize those batteries. You don't need the 800 or kilowatt hours, megawatt of power. You downsize it, but you still get the exemption.
Yeah, like to emphasize there, like it literally is lighter than the same spec truck. That's a traditional diesel, right? Because it's like a locomotive. It's just, it's crazy.
Our retrofit,
Yeah.
we lost 900 kgs
Yeah.
off the retrofit and weight reduction.
Yeah.
What are the terms on the 3,000 prepaid truck kits?
$250 Canadian per pre-order. Yeah, and we're hoping to kind of retail them for what, like 60 grand?
Non-refundable.
Yeah, non-refundable. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
also,
non-refundable.
it's non-refundable. We're like, so many people on social media were saying like, hey, I've got a welding truck and it's so stupid that I'm running a diesel motor to drive my truck to site. Then I'm running a welder all day long running that diesel and I'm only using power when I'm actually laying a bead down. Can we just power that welder off the batteries and then a little generator? And like nobody's making an electric truck. Like it's an F-150 Lightning is like the toughest electric truck. And they're like, I don't need an F-150, I need an F-450. Said, well, we can use the same generator back end and we just got to reach out to our axle manufacturers and be like, do you make a pickup sized axle? And they're like, yes, we do. And I'm like, can we buy that? They said yes. And we're like, okay, well then. So the reservations, basically, the money we got for that, we told everyone that, hey, that's going on to hire a couple people to handle the design and the rollout of that kit. So you're not getting that money back. It's being spent on developing the kit. And they still said, yeah, that's all right.
And then what's the range?
As long as you keep diesel in the tank, you can keep going. For as far as like the range off of just electric, entirely depends what you're doing. We had a short haul, like these logs we were hauling here, we had a relatively short haul, about 5 kilometers to the mill. We got a 10-hour day just off the electrics. With the regen and the slow power and then the time spent loading, we got 10 hours before we had to fire up the generator. Generator ran for half an hour, brought the batteries back up. So,
Basically, it's carrying its own fast charger, right? Like if you think about it, so just like, it's got a big battery too. We started with an 80 kilowatt hour, now we got a 200 kilowatt hour. So like you get a lot more time out of the batteries. And
if you put it though on a heavy hill where you're full loaded and you're pulling heavy on the highway, you might only get an hour and a half off the batteries and then you run the generator for an hour. So it entirely depends what your application is. The more time you're going to be spending on site, the longer run time you're going to get. The more time you spend running down the highway, the less run time you're going to get. It's so hard in the vocational space to estimate. Yeah.
Also being from Canada, but Saskatchewan gets probably a little bit colder than America. Have you looked at doing thermal integration for your engine to keep your batteries from like carrying performance when it gets really cold?
Yeah, we got a new cooling system design. Topsy doesn't have that one, but the new one, it now can change over. So when you're on the generator, you can flow that extra heat exchange. They both run the exact same glycol. EV glycol, the coolant, is the exact same as your diesel engine coolant, so you can actually flow those to either one. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, we call it the bypass.
Yeah.
What's it like the exchange material to like store that heat so you don't need to turn the generator on to do that? Or it's
Well,
just
yeah.
a little line?
Yeah, we used like a heat pump system, refrigerant 134. Yeah, super basic stuff. Actually, Tesla does the octo valve, we do the quad valve. It's a little simpler design, actually. Yeah, really elegant. Yeah.
Is that your pickup truck that was being towed?
No, that was DeBoss Garage's tank that he built in Niagara Falls area. Yeah.
But the real question is, have you crash tested?
That's not actually a requirement for once you get over 10,000 kgs, that is not a requirement to do any sort of crash testing. You don't need to do side impact, rollover, cab structure. Turns out when they're like, yeah, that's a really big truck, don't worry about doing all that safety testing on it.
So smart.
We did talk to them and I asked them why, and they said basically trucks haven't changed since the 1950s. There are 2 sets of frame rails, so the cab that gets bolted on, what's the point of testing it? And if it's anything like, I'm sorry, but if you got a side impact where somebody's hitting the side of your door on that thing, you've got bigger issues to deal with. That we're just doing retrofits on.
Yeah,
so as far as a retrofit, all you need to do on your like F450s, F550s, you got to take it to a qualified mechanic. They're going to go through, they're going to give it an inspection. They put a little decal on the windshield. You take that inspection decal form down to your registration office and say, look, this is now a hybrid. They changed the registration. Safety's passed.
And what would the cost be for the pickups?
Doing the math, it's depending on what you want. Do you want a new generator? Do you want to use the motor that's already in there? Do you want two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive? But it's about half the price of buying a new truck, give or take.
Yeah. And where you get to keep the body too, right? Like a lot of these guys are like welder trucks, right? So to scrap a whole vehicle and do that swap costs money. Yeah. So.
You guys have any IP? I mean, I applaud your transparency, but what's to stop, somebody from replicating?
Oh yeah, we'd be dumb not to have IP and then
yeah.
show it all on social media. There's been a few things that you can see that have waited like a month or two. You know how hard that is when you get like new axles and you're just waiting for like the IP on it and you're like, I want to show these off so bad, but or like, I just got to show off this new thing. So, but yes, we do have IP on a lot of the drivetrain components, the way we put it together, some design, some industrial patents.
Mostly industrial designs, and doing a lot of the software as well in-house. So we're doing a lot of the copyright required as well. Yeah, yeah.
The concrete angle is very interesting. You can work in that low noise environments. I was just thinking like ventilation as well. You can work in tunnels and on unventilated spaces. Would that be a retrofit of concrete trucks, or would you be looking at building new concrete trucks?
We can do either one if they wanted. If they got a good chassis and good bones, it's not hard. You drop the transmission, put the generator on, take that drive line out, put the batteries where the drive shaft goes, and then you just swap the axles, plug the control gear in, your inverter boxes and PDUs. So you can retrofit, which is one of the big advantages. I thought is like a Cascadia highway tractor, who gives a shit? It's a $200,000 truck. You basically throw it out after 5-6 years. When you're buying a crane truck or a hydrovac with a $700,000 body on the back of it, you're not going to throw out a $700,000 body and truck when it's got good bones just because you want the hybrid. We can just swap it.
Yeah, our generator literally bolts to the back of that engine, right? It's just an SAE1. It's super basic, right? And it just bolts right on with the flywheel. Yeah.
Sorry.
Just want to acknowledge you guys make it sound extremely simple. Scary simple, I like it. What's the plan long term? Like, where are you trying to, create the next, great hybrid heavy-duty truck company? Or are you, what's just kind of your vision for the future?
Well, that's the plan. We want to be a great truck company. The great truck companies have been located in British Columbia, Canada. Kenworth was there. Pacific, Hayes, Western Star were all located like an hour and a half away from our shop. We had this huge history of truck manufacturing. Because of the grades we're pulling in Canada and the mountains, the weather, they were just tough trucks. I want to bring that tough quality manufacturing back.
Great name too.
Yeah. I like to say that customers want to say sustainability, but as soon as you're like, oh, this is great for sustainability and hybrid, we're meeting our goals, when it comes down to it, it's the power, and the bigger one is fuel savings. On a logging truck, some of our testing, we've shown up to 50-60% savings on a logging truck. You're burning 20,000 liters, 10 to 20,000 liters of fuel per month. That's $20,000-$30,000 every single month. You can reduce that down by half. All of a sudden, now it's more economically viable to get it. You can move your trucking operations out a little bit longer. So, I mean, the fuel savings was making the payment to buy the new truck. That was a big selling feature for them.
And the second question, on the battery that you're using, any idea what the service life is on that? Or how risky is that? How worried are you about that?
So it is a hybrid, right? So no matter what, you're going to be able to use that generator irregardless. You could actually use it completely on generator power alone. It wouldn't give you that 1,400 horsepower, right? It'd only give you like 360. So that's good. But yeah, about 6,000 cycle lives. So, it's basically just on heavy use. And, we also want to make sure that you're not using the full range of the battery to take away life cycle. So as a hybrid, you can go between 30% state of charge to 80% state of charge, do that all day. And ideally, that doesn't count as a full cycle, right?
And the other cool thing about hybrid is, well, you get about 2 hours of driving, and then the generator fires up for an hour. As you lose your battery capacity, it's essentially you've got smaller batteries. So instead of running for 2 hours and then running the generator for an hour, you run for at 50% capacity, you run for 1 hour and then run the generator for half hour. So you can push that hybrid life cycle, and then because you don't have as many batteries, they're off-the-shelf batteries, they're the standard battery pack, 30 grand, you swap it, 10, 15 years down the road. It's something that truck manufacturers are already used to doing with an engine rebuild. The cost is similar to an engine rebuild in 15 years. If that's your biggest cost, then. All right, any other questions?
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I want to just take a couple seconds. We're not doing an ad. I just want to thank everyone that's invested with Edison Motors. You guys know we don't have venture capital. We don't have that kind of money. We told them no. We are invested and owned by the fans like you who are watching this video. You guys supported us all the way when it was just an idea, through building Carl to building Topsy, and now as we go back into our next production run, taking this next step. So all of you that supported us, invested with us, thank you so, so much. We appreciate it more than you know. Anyways, back to the video.
So first, big thanks for all the competitors. It was really wonderful you all to come out. It was really a unique approach that we took with A&M to do this, as it's a speech competition, not a pitch competition. So you got to choose, you know, who your audience was, and that really let us open it up and have participants at all stages of being, you know, raising money publicly to just getting started. And I want to highlight Donna Davis as you were very early in the process, and really thank you for coming and competing. That's the only way you're going to get better, is to get the feedback, and so thank you so much. Cool, and from A&M, if we can have someone from the wonderful people who provided the prize money to come up and share a little bit about innovation at the university.
Howdy. Howdy. All right, I'm impressed. Y'all are welcome back anytime now. I'm Chris Scotti. You met my boss, Pete O'Neill, earlier today, I believe, maybe last night for dinner. I'm from the Texas A&M Innovation Office, and as he explained, we're the commercialization arm for the whole Texas A&M system. So this is not just that big campus across the street. This is the 11 agencies and 8 state agencies, including a few national labs and international organizations. So we're commercializing the intellectual property coming out of, and in some cases coming back into Texas A&M as well as affiliated organizations. I'm the Director of Strategic Partnerships. I think you probably heard Pete mention the Texas A&M New Venture Competition. I've run or been involved with that for over 10 years now. We just did our 10th year back in May. We've given out about $3 million in prizes over that period. It's typically now in the $400,000 to $500,000 a year range. And Pete asked me to mention that a little bit to this group. I know there are companies from all over and at all different stages, but you also have networks of folks. So I'd love it if you, and if not you, you could spread the word to others to potentially join us in that competition. Applications open up in February every year. The competition itself is in May. And it is open to any science or engineering-based startup that has some physical presence in Texas, because it does have some economic development money behind it. It can be anything from material science to construction science to new software technologies. It's not a consumer products or real estate or oil and gas or restaurant. This is true science and engineering based technologies. Most of the companies that compete have some protectable intellectual property and have some funding already. But most of them are early stage. In fact, we limit it to companies that have raised less than $2.5 million. So sorry to a few of you that sound like you've raised a little more than that. But also congratulations to you as well, because I know how hard that is, having run a couple companies myself. So love you to dig into that a little further. If you just Google Texas A&M New Venture Competition or just Texas New Venture Competition, you'll find out more about that, or come see me afterwards. I also want to make a couple of observations based on the companies and the way this competition is run today. I see a lot of opportunity to partner, not only with the organization itself, but with companies such as yours as well. Texas A&M represents this huge institution that can do testing, evaluation, add real value to companies like yours, whether that's figuring out potential market opportunities, next generations to the technologies, adding on to the technologies you have with intellectual property that we might have coming out of the College of Architecture, engineering, or the other institutions that we represent. So keep that in mind as well as you develop. Hopefully you'll capitalize on some of the relationships you've made, or if you'd like to chat about that more, feel free to reach out to Pete or I to discuss. Good?
Awesome.
All right.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, so we have prize money for the top 3 teams, and we'll start with the third place, and I believe that's $5,000 cash that we will have arranged after. We don't have a big check. We didn't plan that. That would be Rugged Robotics.
Thanks, everybody.
What are you going to do with the $5,000?
That's a good question. That's long lead items on robots, maybe, bonuses, who knows? We'll see. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Thanks, everybody.
All right, second place, Terran Robotics.
That's a good question. I think I'm trying to get this first project done as quickly as possible. I think maybe a few more people helping out there. Yeah, that'd be good.
Cool. Excellent. Thank you. All right, in first place with $10,000 in cash is Edison Motors.
Good job, buddy.
Awesome. Thanks. All right. All right, so the plan was to end this at 2, and really we just had some closing comments. Really the ambition with the Society for Construction Solutions is to support entrepreneurs commercializing solutions for the industry, and then also now to support construction professionals employing those solutions. And so A&M is a perfect partner to help with that. Then we also have another group, the Expeditionary Operations Group, which is interdisciplinary. So we think that we can work with A&M on that as well. So this is just the start of more to come. So we're definitely interested in your feedback. We'll send out a survey to get people's input. We might keep this model, we might modify it. You might see some people from ag. Edison Motors would be relevant to so many other disciplines. But thank you all for coming and participating.
I'll be very short, but I just wanted to say I really appreciate everybody being here. I can tell that Curtis has a real following, and this, I think, with the success that I saw, is just the first of many. So I'd like to reach out to all of you, and you might see an email from me. I'd like you to connect with our landscape architecture, urban planning, architecture, and construction science departments. Thank you to Curtis, and thank you to you, and I'll be right over here, and let's head over to campus if you want. So great. Thanks, y'all.
Okay, apparently the university is called Texas A&M, not ATM. That's a different subcategory on the hub. It's not ATM, it's Texas A&M. We've made this mistake too many times being here. All right, guys, I want to thank you for making it to the end of the video. If you're looking for more information about Edison Motors, check out our website. We're putting a link somewhere in here. Also, if you can support us through a merch store, that's always appreciated. And honestly, one of the best things you can do is just watch another video. So thanks for watching. Can't wait to get the next one out.